Hello, you join me with Ben.
Yes.
And we are enjoying a nice day at Taronga Zoo in Sydney, which has a remarkable collection of animals.
Yes.
Which Jessica is enjoying. And we've just taken some time aside to have a quick chat because Ben, you just had your 20th birthday.
Yes.
And you've managed to get out of the organisation presumably earlier than that.
Yes.
And I don't get that much opportunity on my channel to speak to people who have managed to wake up so early in their life. Usually when I do speak to people, they're usually much older. So I'm fascinated to hear your perspective of someone from a generation that I assume watches my videos, but I just again don't get that much opportunity to talk to you guys. So what was it how old were you when you first started having doubts?
Perhaps because I was maybe 16 something when I said, all right, I've got to take this seriously.
16.
Yeah, something. It's very, very fuzzy because for me, I've always liked science. So ever since I was a little kid, I'd have science books, or I'd collect entomology books, or I wanted to watch David Attenborough all the time. So I've just always loved science. And I remember being in the meeting one day, hearing "Make the Truth Your Own."
The song.
The song, yes.
Yeah.
And at that time, I was thinking, I've got to start taking this more seriously. I'm thinking about going to university perhaps, or what do I want to do after I finish school? Do I want to take this more seriously? So I said, okay, well, I should be able to reconcile my doubts that I have, because I have a couple. Main one being because I've always liked science, evolution. So I thought, okay, well, if this really is the truth, I should be able to go home and research on it, and the religion will still come out true. And when I looked it up, it didn't hold up.
When you say you looked it up, how did you look it up?
The first thing I did was I just looked at I just had books at home, with all about science. So when I did the evolution one, then I started watching videos and reading articles online, scientific articles, and I came to realize that a lot of what the publications were saying was either misrepresented, or there's a straw man, or there's just something that didn't add up. And the funny thing was, for me, was I couldn't at that point admit that possibly they got it wrong, or they were purposely misrepresenting it. So you got into this point where it was a sort of, they can't be right and wrong, and you know what I mean? You're taught the whole time that what they're saying is undoubtedly true. So for you to go online and see that they could be wrong is unthinkable. It has to be Satan, it has to be a lie, it has to be something. But once I looked more and more into it, I realized that at that point I was either denying reality of all the evidence, or they've got it wrong. And I thought, well,
what's more likely?
Yeah. Especially with the fossil record. Eventually later on, I thought to myself, so has Satan planted the evidence, or God made the earth in that way so that it looks like all the animals have evolved? And then from there, you still have to believe the Bible, and it's a test of faith and all of that. Yeah. So from there, I sort of thought, well, what else could be wrong? And went and looked at all other different avenues and different doubts I had, and just more and more accumulated.
Because obviously, well, first of all, I think it's fascinating that evolution was the thing that woke you up. Because I'm aware of that being possible in theory, but usually it's other things. I've heard it before. I interviewed someone in Howie Rutledge Tran who reached that same conclusion when he was in Bethel by reading science books, I think by Richard Dawkins.
Yeah.
But it's one thing to reach that conclusion reading science books, because science books aren't per se banned by the organisation.
Exactly.
So did you reach a point where you kind of gave yourself permission to look at apostate sources?
For me, I was a good Jehovah's Witness. I was very obedient. I'd listen to everything they'd say, so I didn't deviate from the path. Doesn't mean I was out witnessing all the time. There was a couple of barriers to me going out witnessing all the time. My brother is autistic, so to go door to door is not exactly a...
there were practical reasons why it was problematic for you.
He'd run into the houses and
Yeah.
you can't... It's just not feasible. So what we would do is we'd go return visits every Sunday or whatever. I never really allowed myself to look at apostate material, because to me the idea was big and scary at the first onset, but eventually I thought, well, if it is the truth, I should be able to look at it from any side, and I shouldn't have anything to fear about it. It's the same as if you were going to go buy a car. You wouldn't walk up to the first car dealership and say, oh yeah, well, this is the best deal out there. You'd go and look around, look at all the different factors and why you're buying the car. Do you want to go off-road? Do you not? Do you have a family? Do you not? What? Fuel economy? All different reasons. So I thought, if I tackle this from any angle, it should still come out true. And so science being what it is, open to inquiry, evidence for conclusion and all of that, I just started reading it, and then eventually, I don't know.
Describe how it felt the first time you went on an apostate website.
Well, for me, the apostate website was probably YouTube. So,
oh, really?
Yeah, it was YouTube. It's funny because for me, a lot of the doctrine was very easy to sort of
dismantle. without any help.
Yeah,
right.
Because for me, with evolution, I soon realized that, and this is the kicker for me, if evolution is true, the Garden of Eden couldn't have happened. If the Garden of Eden couldn't have happened, original sin never took place. Therefore, whether Jesus was a real person or not doesn't matter, because if he died or not, he died for no reason. There was no scale to balance, because I remember his death was to, balance the original sin, and if there was no original sin to be balanced, whether he was a real person, whether he died or not, it doesn't matter, because it just makes the whole Bible irrelevant.
Right.
Yeah, that was just...
So accepting evolution negated the whole of Christianity for you?
I would go on to, I'd go and listen to other versions of Christianity on YouTube, and I'd look up videos and stuff like that. But eventually I got led to people like Cosmic Skeptic, Rationality Rules, Atheist Experience. I like as well, there are two other channels I really like called Potholer 54 and Anti-Citizen X. They all really helped me, and they're all different sort of avenues. You might have maybe heard some of the channels. And what I'm saying, it sounds like it was a very easy process, like I just went and I thought, the Bible's completely discredited because evolution's true. It wasn't like that at all. It took many months to have that thought. There was many nights where I was just up. I was sick a lot of the time. I had a lot of difficulty going to school because of it. There's a lot of existential dread and anguish, because I felt like, because my whole foundation of what the Jehovah's Witnesses give you and make you believe is taken away, you're just left in this void and you're just falling. I remember saying to someone after I had left, he asked me what did it feel like, and that's exactly what I said. It felt like a trapdoor had been dropped under me and I was just falling. I had to I got into the point where I was thinking, well, what are my morals based off of? What are my ethics based off of? Why do I do anything? It was a really, really dark time. And then, it was a really, really hard road to get out of. But I don't know.
Would you say that you had some kind of mental breakdown? Was it like some severe anxiety or depression, or what was going on?
Yeah, I got pretty anxious. I got very, very anxious. I got very depressed. I felt very, very isolated because at the time, unfortunately, just because of the culture and the environment that the Jehovah's Witnesses breed, I was under the impression that I could lose my whole family, even though my mum and my dad loved me to bits. It's just something you pick up from the culture, because if you deny the religion and the faith, then everyone is going to shun you. You see it at the conventions, you see it in other families, you see it in other people's behaviour, and it just becomes, I think, a sort of group thinking. You just pick it up, monkey see, monkey do. And then the logical conclusion at that point was, for me at least, from the way I was reasoning, if I tell my parents and I don't know where they are in this journey, if they're fully in, if they're not fully in, I could possibly not talk to them or see them ever again. And then what am I supposed to do? I'm a teenager still. What am I supposed to do? Go out and find a house and live by myself? How am I going to support myself? How am I still going to go to school? All these sort of things. But eventually I told my mum, and I found out that she was having doubts as well. But the thing was, she had been silently sort of niggling in the back of her head, something's not right. So as an example, our young Bible story book, she'd tear pages out of it for us.
Oh really?
Yeah, like the story of Lot.
You didn't notice with the numbers?
No, I didn't, because the other thing she'd do is she'd make her own convention pamphlets for us.
Wow.
So we never ever read that sort of stuff.
You can skip this entire talk here.
Yeah, she'd tell us to just, okay, why don't you colour in the ark, or you can do these word puzzles or something.
Wow.
Another really good thing, because my brother was autistic, we got our own room. That was actually the thing was, my brother is autistic.
Yeah.
So as a younger kid, going to, because we'd have our assemblies at the Olympic Park, Cutest Bank Arena, I think it's called now. There's really steep stairs at the top, and when we'd sit up there, he'd get really freaked out, and a lot of people would yell at us, and we got kicked out once. The witnesses treated us really, really badly, and my mum actually had to write a letter to them. And only after all of that, we got our own room. And because of that, we watched the talks on a little TV screen. We weren't actually out with everyone else. So that sort of helped as well. But the fact that we had to ask for our own room is, it's not very loving. It's not very Christian.
And the circumstances surrounding that request as well.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I mean, okay, it shows a complete lack of empathy or understanding, and that's not a blanket statement. I'm sure there are a lot of empathetic people, because that's one of the good things, or one thing I did like about being, one of the things that I'm grateful for being in the religion is they're very altruistic. I don't think that they have it for necessarily good means, because the altruism is sort of a sort of love bomb everyone, and you're immediately friends with everyone. But once you start reasoning as to why you're altruistic, and there's some, I think there's a There's something on, I think I watched it on the Atheist Experience or something like that, about what's it called? There's an analogy of two children. They're at a restaurant and one's behaving badly, both of them behaving badly. One of them just gets disciplined, the other one is told in a more way, oh, don't you think you're disrupting other people, and they would like to have a nice evening as well. And then the next time they're both well behaved, but for different reasons. I think maybe there's something like that going on, but just it's just, I don't know.
So the reason why you're telling us this is because when you reached this kind of crisis of faith, you spoke to your parents, or at least
just
your mother,
mom,
and you found out that she'd already been having doubts.
Yeah, and she had actually been preparing and allowing me the leg room to get out myself.
Right. So that presumably eased things somewhat for you.
Well, I was still under the impression that she was in.
Right.
It was as sort of behind the scenes, because the way she puts it is she wanted me to have the choice.
Right.
Because she didn't have the choice when she was growing up. And once I got out, she felt like she had the strength to leave as well. And then we just, as we'd go to meetings still, there was this one time where someone at our congregation stood up, and there's the whole tight pants meme going around.
Oh, really?
Joke. Yeah. So he got up on the platform and he said, you know, all those gay fashion designers just want to see you in their tight pants. And the whole congregation erupted with laughter, and my mum and I just sat there bewildered, looking at each other like, I can't believe he's actually said that in front of people. It wasn't just the fact that he said it, the fact that everyone laughed.
Yeah.
And it's just like a silent undercurrent of all this homophobia, and it just never ever sat well with me, because if these people are supposed to be, you know, you're taught to love thy neighbor.
Oh, so they weren't laughing ironically, they were laughing.
They were laughing.
So they were laughing at gay people.
Joke. They were laughing at the joke he made. That was what occurred, and I just remember being so disgusted that I was sitting in a room with all these people who were laughing at them for something. It's an ad hominem attack.
Oh, right.
And it's just childish.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you went through this very difficult experience of basically an existential kind of crisis.
Yeah, like it got to this point where I was sitting in my room and I thought, okay, I have two choices. I can either stay in the religion, fake it till I make it, God know that I'm faking it, and get killed at Armageddon. Or I can stand up for myself, be true to myself, and suffer the consequences, whatever they may be. But at least I'm being myself, and that would mean I die as well, because I'm leaving the religion and I'm not a Jehovah's Witness. So it's a lose-lose anyway. And I thought, well, I guess the best thing to do is just be myself.
And at what age were you then?
I think at this time I was going through maybe 18.
Still very young.
Still very young.
You're very young to be making.
I was coming out of school. Like, I was preparing for I almost didn't prepare.
Because there's people who are going to be watching this thinking, you were very young, and yet you made an extremely mature decision that lots of people watching this when they were that age wish they would have made when they were that age. You know. What's different about you? How did you figure it out? That
I don't know. I couldn't. I think in a lot of ways, when I was in the religion, I think I'm very individualistic. Like I like time to myself. I like thinking by myself, and I'm very interested and curious in a lot of things. Not saying that anyone else isn't. I think I did it out of necessity, and I think I've had a lot of life experience, especially with growing up with someone like my brother. There's a whole slew of just life experiences and things that I feel like I've sort of had to mature as growing up, and I don't know, because I feel like if I say anything, it might make someone feel like, oh, if only I thought that way when I was younger, like you said. But I don't think it's like that. I think we're all on our own journey, and there's reasons why you stay in the religion and you don't stay in the religion. For me, even though I had previously said I feared losing my parents, I knew they loved me dearly. It was just this act of doublethink and cognitive dissonance that the religion breeds, where you can think both things and yet, it's obviously a contradiction. I always felt, I knew my parents always loved me, but family was never really a tie for me, because I never really, I don't know. It's very difficult, because when you're in that sort of environment, a lot of your relationships feel like they are predicated on, is that the right word?
Yeah.
They're predicated on you being a Jehovah's Witness. If you're not a Jehovah's Witness, then what's the point? You're bad association, even if you're family.
Conditional.
Yeah, it's very conditional. And my reasoning behind it too was, well, why would you want to form any sort of bond with them? Because when you're in paradise, you might think about them,
But
they'll be gone.
6 feet under.
Exactly. Or 6 feet under, and all the ravens pecking at them too. And why would you do that to yourself?
Yeah.
It seems like it's self-harm in a way. So I don't know.
Well, take it from this 39-year-old who is getting on for 40. You have wisdom beyond your years, and
thank you.
I have a huge admiration. Just to conclude, if there are any 16 to 20-year-olds watching this video, what would be your advice to them who are, Jehovah's Witnesses?
Well, there's no one size fits all. It depends on many factors. It could be your family, it could be your upbringing, possibly what you believe. I myself came out of this an atheist. Some people may come out of it theist, some may go another way altogether. I don't know. I think the best thing to do is one of the main things is you can't be scared of doubting. The reason that they say you have to be scared of doubting is because if you doubt, that actually leaves room for you to think about, oh wait, this might not actually be true. I think it's really hard to sum it up, because
you just did. You just said, don't be afraid of doubting.
You can't be afraid of doubting.
Yeah.
Follow the evidence. Be open to others' opinions and interpretation. I know for myself, I learn something new every day, or I try to at least. And it said, I'm only 20. What do I know? Especially coming out of something like that, I personally feel like being a Jehovah's Witness has stunted my growth intellectually and educationally, and I've got a lot to learn. There's so many things I don't know, and I always second guess myself. I always make sure I've made sure that what I'm saying is the correct thing. And I think a lot of the people who leave value truth more than comfort. We don't like being lied to, and that's something I'm still a bit angry about, because you feel like these people have lied to you in front of your face, and when you leave, all they have to do is wash their hands, and you're an evil apostate, and excuse me, and you just want to sin, and you just want to, especially in things like the Young People Ask book. I remember I used to religiously read that whenever I needed help, or I used to at school give it to people whenever they needed help. I remember seeing all the illustrations, all of the sort of examples of all these worldly young people, when, like, after me leaving, I have not done anything like that. Drink, drugs, none of that. It's just a caricature that's set up to scare people, and it's something where I don't want to be that, I have to stay back, and all these people are terrible people. When if you actually go out and talk to some of these young people who are doing great things in the world, they're all really nice people, and I've made some really great friends, more than what I ever felt in the organization. I'm not saying I didn't have friends, but it's just a completely different feeling. On the one hand, when you're in there, it feels very conditional, like I said before, but out there you actually are friends with people because they enjoy your company and they enjoy being around you, and you share hobbies together, you share life experiences, and that's the best thing. And yeah, some people might say, oh, well, you don't have the paradise to look forward to, and you're going to die and things like that. That's fine, but now that I'm out, it's really made me appreciate how special life is, and every day is a gift, and I really, really try to use life to the fullest extent, learn something new every day, pursue your hobbies, chase your dreams, do what you want. If you're young, like me, and I hear this all the time when I go to XJW meetups, they always say to you, you have your life ahead of you, and it's true. We really do have our lives ahead of us. We're at a point in time where we can go and study and pursue whatever we want. And us leaving and others leaving, like Lloyd and other people on YouTube, whoever takes your fancy, whatever channel you watch, those people that give you the tools to leave, if they didn't leave, we wouldn't have the chance to do what we can, and it's something that I'm really thankful for. I remember we just did the live stream yesterday.
Yeah.
What was it, 20-30 years ago? The internet didn't exist, but now we have a plethora, like, it's the information age. We can just look up whatever we want, and we can almost definitely find the answer to it. If not, different perspectives, and we can make our own minds up on it. And websites like JW Facts, Lloyd Evans' channel, and just science books to debunk the anti-science that they preach. It's all on there, and it's freely available. You just have to go and find it, and I guess just go and, I don't know.
How old were you in 2005?
I was 6 or 5.
Okay.
Yeah, depending.
2005 was when the first video was uploaded to YouTube.
There you go.
So that's how recent these resources are. So you said before that you're still learning, and I think that applies to everyone.
Yeah.
But I'm sure that lots of people watching this will have learned from your story.
Yes.
So thank you very much indeed.
I'd like to say thank you to, just quickly, thank you Alex O'Connor. Let me remember his name. Rationality Rules.
Yeah, Rationality Rules isn't as popular as Alan there.
Oh, no, don't take it that way. I bought your Kickstarter, Rationality Rules.
There you go, yeah. He's terrible at quizzes though, Rationality Rules.
Pardon?
He's really bad at quizzes.
Is he?
Rules.
Oh, I don't know.
You should watch my 50k live stream.
I'd love to meet him. Anyway, okay, I'm gonna start listing the channels. Atheist Experience and everyone on it, thank you so much. Potholer 54, Cosmic Skeptic, Rationality Rules, Richard Dawkins, Sam Harris, and I really like Anti-Citizen X. He goes through all the philosophy and things like that. I really like his series. is a very fringe channel, but I really like him. And there are many more that I can't think of right now. Stated clearly, you're really good too. That really helped me as well. Yeah, and as you can probably see, there are a lot of channels and there are a lot of avenues that help you wake up. It's not just one thing. And yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So a few shout outs there.
Yes.
But from Taronga Zoo, Sydney, with the Harbour Bridge in the background, this has been Ben, and you know who I am. Thank you so much for watching, and see you around.